And hello everyone, it's Mangaka doing a short video regarding some Guilty Gear Strive news. I am a few days late to it. I had a couple of days off, and so I just spent the time trying to relax or being engaged with some other projects like my local. And I wanted to go ahead and cover this just to have my little own opinion on it and prepare y'all for the fact that starting next week, I have some new Guilty Gear Strive videos to make, as it is evident of this particular announcement. Um, so the bottom line of it is on December 23rd, there is going to be a balance patch for Guilty Gear Strive, trying to address some of the issues that the developer Arc System Works has seen with this patch and how they didn't quite live up to their intended effects with this patch. I won't get into it too much because it's just worth going through the entire statement, courtesy of their producer, Ken Miyauchi. Hopefully, I pronounced that last name of his correctly. If I'm to believe translating services, maybe Google here, it actually stands for Imperial Palace in Japanese, which I think is a really beautiful name to have. Let's go ahead and get into this. Hello, everyone. This is Miyauchi, the producer. Thank you for your continued support of Guilty Gear Strive. Apology for in-game issues. Currently, due to the problems shared in the 1.4 known issues announcement, so if we click on this link, we can go through with known issues, and we can see that there's plenty of bugs that they're trying to fix, like the Jacko servant shoot, the swords going the wrong way with some of Ramlethal's attacks, Dizzy's ice field, the infamous ice sliding glitch that's going down, and a couple other things as well with it. As well as new issues occurring after the fix. I think there was some things to do with the inconsistency of some accidental wall unsticks that we've been seeing with this patch. I'm not quite sure how that all works. I know that people comment on it. I've been a little too busy to read the comments, unfortunately, but I do appreciate all y'all's support with engaging with my content. I'm going to be a little better about that in my next round of videos. New issues occurring after the fix, we have failed to meet players' expectations. As we reflect on the current situation, we are also working to ensure this does not happen again. We offer our deepest apologies. We plan to release an update to fix these issues on December 23rd. So this is pretty much falling in line with what they previously stated to us regarding that they do want to get these bug fixes out. They were able to fix some of the bugs already in their earlier patch that happened in November, and they said it would take them some time, but they are getting them out before the end of the year, 2 days before Christmas for people who celebrate that holiday. With it, though, there's also some battle balance adjustments, which is a bit of a surprise to me because typically Arc System Works with Guilty Gear Strive tends to kind of have a hands-off approach in some cases, where they usually do one big yearly patch update and then they might come in a couple months later to do like a mid-season patch update, but they're actually acting a little quicker than usual because they feel like they need to do this. And let's go ahead and read the statement. We received a lot of feedback on the Season 4 battle balance adjustments. With the players' feedback in mind, we've confirmed the current condition in matches and found that some aspects have departed from the development team's intentions behind the balance changes. While taking into account upcoming update plans and the impact on work towards fixing in-game issues, we have decided to make battle balance adjustments on December 23rd as well for areas that need to be dealt with promptly. The following covers the core changes made in this update. And there are 3 things that they're going to discuss, and let's go ahead and look through those. I will go ahead and shrink myself down a little bit here just so we can see. Actually, instead of that, move myself over here. That way it's a little easier for you all to read. Number 1, adjustments for moves and damage that did not align with the intent to increase the overall number of interactions in a match. Although we raised overall defense, this was the defense modifier value I was demonstrating in all my patch videos, as a result of increased damage to individual moves and the addition of new combos, we were not able to achieve the intended effect of increasing the number of interactions within actual matches. To address this, we've adjusted damage in line with the overall changes as well as reassessed some characters' move properties and reduce chip damage during guard crush. So they are going to directly nerf some of the damage that we are seeing in this game. And I imagine that a couple of characters that are going to be seeing like the most changes to fall in line with his vision are going to be the characters who largely got huge damage buffs to some of their moves. These would be players, or not players, characters like Mei, for example, who had tons of buffs to her heavy slash normals in order to increase their damage. Characters like Nagoriyuki, who had his damage on his heavy, since they're no longer special cancelable, be cranked through the roof both on guard and on hit. You could do 2-touch sequences with the character pretty much off of any starter just by all-inning and then using Blood Rage pop to set up an Oki situation. And Gold Lewis, I would imagine, would be another character where this could very much be a possible nerf. After all, like the character maintaining his old damage, especially his guard crush damage, when he can now like cancel into Behemoth Typhoons and just basically take away maybe a fourth of your life bar in a sequence. That was a little crazy, and it kind of felt like this was really contradictory to what ArcSys said they wanted to do. And that was an element of the patch I felt like caused a lot of criticisms, where ArcSys was saying one thing, but then the actual changes were resulting in another outcome that wasn't at all what they were saying. So it's good to see them say, we missed the ball on this and we're going to try and tone these things down. Of course, there could be other characters who could be seeing some similar nerfs to them. I don't know if this will just be simple reversions to previous values in terms of the damage of these moves, if those moves overall will be nerfed in general, or who this is going to be directly affecting. I speculated on the characters I mentioned just because reduced chip damage during card crush. This probably is going to be affecting, Nagoriyuki and Gold Lewis, but this could affect some other characters as well. And we don't know what else could be happening here. There could be some other properties going on. I could see Slayer being a candidate for this because he's still very explosive in this patch. And I think the only buff that he got was like increased damage on his pile bunker. So we'll see overall what these changes do. But so far, I'm liking that they are aware of their failure to kind of deliver on their promises, and they're going to try and actually make it so in this update. Number 2, adjustments to move properties that did not align with individual characters' balance intentions. We've made adjustments for areas where the balance between strengths and weaknesses for each character's concept was off, as well as for aspects where characters struggled to show their strengths in actual matches. So this is the most vague point, or the most vague point of these changes that they're describing, because I don't know what they could be referring to when it comes to this. So they're probably going to try and make it so that some characters, they have maybe more pronounced weaknesses, right? So there could be some nerfs here to some of the stronger characters or to some strong situations. They could be buffing some characters in order to more fulfill their gameplay identities, right? This could be reversions of some things as well, like I could see people being like, why did Milia get nerfed, for example, like by losing the Capel stuff, with it no longer launching an opponent on hit. Maybe that was like too far of a nerf. They're not specifically naming anything, but we'll see how this plays out overall for their particular patch notes. So I imagine that there are going to be some character mains who might get a bit of hopium as they're looking forward to seeing if Arc System Works reverts some of the nerfs that could have happened in this patch, or if the characters receive some additional buffs instead. Either way, they're going to probably be looking, and I think that this could be like maybe more targeted towards like characters that are still performing really well. Despite this patch, the meta game in terms of like who are strong characters really hasn't shifted a whole lot. I mean, you still have Happy Chaos in the hands of Jack, winning many online events. Gold Lewis is very much still a threat in this patch, even more so because he largely received just like buffs overall when he was already a very strong character. Ramlethal, right? She was a top tier before, and she was probably like the definitive number one best character in the game, even after the bugs were removed from her kit, or at least most of the bugs regarding her sword toss. So I don't know where they could be targeting these changes, and this is going to be the more interesting part, I think, for us to explore once they release the patch notes in a bit. The third point, though, is anything but vague. It is very direct in what they are saying, and that point is restoring Potemkin's sliding special move inputs and balance adjustments in line with this change. To translate this, they are giving Potemkin his Kara cancels back. In the previous balance adjustment, we removed sliding special move inputs in an attempt to prevent unintended inputs and improve the field of controls. However, after seeing the response to this change, we've decided to restore the sliding special moves and make balance adjustments in line with this. The changes made to Potemkin's move inputs made an effort to prevent unintended inputs remains as is. So due to the new inputs required, some moves make it more challenging to perform this technique. That last sentence is a little confusing, but what it effectively translates to is that they are not going to revert the changes to his input moves themselves that they did in the previous patch, right? So, like, for example, Heat Tackle, if I remember correctly, was some sort of half circle forward move or half circle move. and now it's like a DP input that Potemkin has to do. They're going to keep all of his new inputs that he got for his special moves intact. So they're not going to revert those, but they are going to allow 6K to once again be car canceled. This means that Potemkin could increase the range of his Potemkin Buster. He could be able to use the full momentum of 6K to override the backwards momentum of back Megafix. Maybe that will let him be plus on block again in some situations. And there could be some new things that are coming up here. We don't know what the entire Potemkin kit is going to look like. I imagine that the Garuda impact changes could stay as is, where it's still a projectile that you can't FD and he's just on top of you the entire time. Or maybe they revert that and make it a strike again so that you can push him out and he can overwhelm that pushback by using car cancels to get that forward momentum again. I don't know. Like there's going to be a lot of things to look at with Potemkin overall, but we will very much see. It kind of felt like Potemkin was a stronger character, but people, again, sort of missed out on the tech that they were building up with that character for years, and he was a completely new character effectively in terms of how he played. And so I think that that was a pretty weird change to go with for a character that doesn't really have a lot of representation. But it was what it was, right? Like, I think Soul Bad Guys rework was a little more in line with what they could do, where you could still do a bunch of like the old stuff. They didn't remove functionality so much as they redistributed where that character's strengths were and what the character was trying to do. With Potemkin, they just straight up removed functionality that existed before and then tried to compensate for it. So we will see how much of Potemkin's going to change, if he's going to basically be like a buffed up version of his old self, or what's going to be new for him. But that's a pretty exciting change. I did comment in my video that I thought that the changes were potentially good, because if you remove that skill gap in between like a good Potemkin and a bad Potemkin by eliminating car cancels, that maybe this would mean the character could be more approachable for some people. But on the same hand, right, not having that extra depth to the character in order to like demonstrate, oh, this Potemkin is really good at car canceling, to signal to us as spectators, oh, this is a really good Potemkin player who has gotten consistent at this technical command input. I think there was something that was a little bit lost there, and it seems like that sentiment has won out over simplifying the character. And so if people want that to be back, I think it's more than okay to be back, and especially if the character is balanced around those particular behaviors. Speaking of, the next line is, we intend to make him a character who can be fun, even if you can't fully utilize this technique, with a deeper layer of strategy available to those dedicated enough to master it. I think that's a really good direction to take the character. You know, make him functional and strong without those things, but you can get some extra spice and extra optimality by having the Kara cancels at your disposal. The development work on these adjustments have been completed, and final checks are currently underway in preparation for the December 23 release. The patch notes, to be released at a later date, will have more details. One big criticism about the Season 4 patch was how unfinished it felt, just because of the existence of so many bugs, many of which were game-breaking, and a lot of people directed justified criticism at Arc System Works for not doing their due diligence to make sure that these bugs didn't exist in the released product of the game. And I think you could speculate that a lot of it had to do with the team maybe being spread a little thin, trying to get the 3v3 mode released, maybe looking at developing the Switch version as well, and who knows however many projects Arc System Works has at the moment. So this is a nice affirmation to say, hey, we've gone through the patch, we've completed the development work, like this patch is done, we're doing final checks to catch anything. So hopefully this will be a patch that not only solves all the bugs that have been listed, but doesn't have any new ones come up. And I think this is a very nice signal from Arc System Works, and hopefully they do deliver on this. The statement closes with, we would like to apologize sincerely again for the serious issues caused to all of our players, tournament organizers, and everyone who helps support the community. We will continue to listen to our players and work hard to improve the gameplay experience. We greatly appreciate your kind support. And these are the words of Guilty Gear Strive producer Ken Miyauchi. So that is pretty much it for the statement, and I appreciate y'all going through the video. If you're excited about these things, if you're wary about these changes, if Arc System Works has burned you too badly with the Season 4 release, I suppose just sound off on your thoughts in the comment section below. As for me, I'm interested to see where things go, and I will once again be gearing up to do yet another Guilty Gear Strive patch notes breakdown series, going over all the changes and comparing to them how they behaved before. And I'm going to try to do my best to make sure that I cover as much necessary information as I can. And I foresee that Potemkin is probably yet again going to be my biggest project. Anyways, thank you all for watching. Take care of yourselves. Take care of each other. I'll see you in the next patch breakdown.